Before I even start the video, let me get in position. Please watch this show. It's called Love Flops, and I know it may seem weird, but I'm begging you guys. I'm begging you to watch this show before you watch this video. Please. With that out of the way, we can now start the video for real. So, Love Flops. It's a seasonal anime that came out in the fall of 2022, which is not something I usually mention, but in this case, it's relevant to understand why it's so weird that I even ended up watching this show. You see, when this show was actually airing in 2022, not only did I not watch it, but I literally didn't even know it was a thing. I had never heard of this show until it randomly showed itself to me. I was sitting thinking that I was gonna catch up on the currently airing shows. So I filtered the site I was watching anime on to only show me the shows that are currently airing. But what greeted me wasn't the currently airing shows, no. Instead, what it was greeted by was a harem anime by the name of Love Flops. Not only was it finished, but it aired last year. I knew it didn't fit in among the other actually airing shows, so I clicked on it. It felt like I was fated to watch this show or something, because it somehow managed to find its way to me when it really never should have. And what greeted me was the trashiest harem anime I've seen in a fucking while. Like, there's a whole bit that happens twice in the first episode, and the whole joke is just that these two guys get raped by this dog. They did the same bit fucking twice. It wasn't even funny the first time. Why did they keep doing it? But even so, I kept watching it. Sometimes you just find the show so trashy you can't keep your eyes off of it. With characters as one-dimensional as a house drawn by a 5-year-old, and a plot that gets more insane and insane every episode. Like, we have the mommy teacher who's secretly a spy, the popular model that is actually a fucking magical girl set out to kill these robots from another fucking dimension that are sent to completely eradicate the balls of every man in the human race. I know it sounds like I made that shit up just now, but I assure you, it is very real, and this show takes it very seriously. This show transcends the words trashy. Not a single part of this show seems well written. They literally all hate him at the start of the first episode, but then they all suddenly love him in the second. It's as if some kind of switch flipped inside their brain. But what if I told you that's exactly what happened? Episode 7. This show has followed a very clear-cut formula so far. Each episode thus far has been about one of the girls in the harem. Each one of them has had a whole episode dedicated to them, and the only person that hasn't had an episode yet is Aoi. Which means this should be her episode, but she's nowhere to be found. And nobody ever even acknowledges that. They just have a fun day at the beach as if nothing is wrong, as if everyone's there, even though it's supposed to be her episode. After a fun day at the beach, they're having a walk alongside the beach. They're talking about how fun they had together and how they should stay together forever. And then they just vanish. So much for being together forever, am I right? The main character Asahi immediately starts running around looking for the girls. They can't just have disappeared, right? As he reaches the vacation home they're supposed to be staying at, he doesn't find any of the girls, but instead he's greeted by Aoi. He doesn't question where she's been or what she's doing here. Instead, he just informs her of the situation.
そうだ、みんながいなくなったんだ。
何の話ですか？
あれ、みんなはみんな？
変な朝日くん。
そうだよな。
At this point, this is basically what I'm looking like. But the show is still playing, so we gotta move on. The mood of this anime completely shifts from this point onward. The fun, slice-of-life, trashy comedy harem anime feel is completely replaced by an eerie and creepy atmosphere. All Aoi is doing is cooking food, but the music, the composition of the shots, the sound effects, and the silence of not having a whole house filled with girls, all the noise that we've gotten used to, it's nowhere to be found. Anytime Asahi tries to question anything, Aoi quickly changes the subject matter. It all feels so incredibly wrong. After they're done eating, Aoi suggests they go on a walk, and Asahi has no choice but to follow along, even though he still has questions without answers. They walk into the forest and what they find there is a little weird. A fully bloomed cherry tree. In the middle of, I don't actually know what time of year this is, but Asahi says it's weird that a cherry blossom tree is in full bloom, so yeah, just trust him on this. Yet again, Aoi ignores Asahi's concerns, and instead decides she wants to confess her love to him. She asks him only to look at her from now on, and he answers by asking where the others are. She keeps trying to persuade him into picking her, but he insists that he needs to know what happened to the others. Aoi's glasses break, and as Asahi is reminded of his childhood friend, cherry blossoms surround him just to all disperse, revealing her right there in front of him. His childhood friend. They talk about the stars for a bit, but the good vibes are immediately shattered by her stating that they can't be together forever, like she wanted, so Asahi should just...
来ないで。
はい、なんだ、何が。
His whole world shatters, and honestly so did mine. It genuinely took me a whole 10 minutes of being in pure shock looking at my completely black screen until I moved on to the next episode. Everything I thought I knew about the show, everything I thought I knew about harem anime in general, all shattered in front of me as this show went beyond my wildest fucking dreams of what I expected it to be. When I say this is the most surprised I've ever been by an anime, I'm not saying that lightly. I've witnessed some absolutely astonishing plot twists, like literally any fucking twist in Attack on Titan. They're all amazing. But even so, nothing has had me in such disbelief as this anime. This has to do with expectations. Sure, Attack on Titan's plot twists are really fucking good and really shocking, but at the end of the day, I'm still expecting there to be twists. You don't ever go into Attack on Titan without expecting a twist or two. Everyone talks about the great twist of the show, and even if they didn't, it's a mystery anime. It comes with the genre. No matter how much you try, you can never truly go into any show completely blind. You're always gonna have some sort of expectations, and Love Flops uses that fact to its benefit. Any and every anime fan has to be familiar with harem anime by now, enough to know the average tropes. So when you go into a show like Love Flops and they go above and beyond in episode 1 to show you the tropiest mess of a harem anime possible, you build this strong expectation that you know exactly what kind of show this is. And even if this is literally your first anime, you still build these expectations as the first 6 fucking episodes are entirely dedicated to building your expectations up. That's half the fucking show. By the time you've spent over 2 hours of your life watching this trashy harem anime, the last fucking thing you're expecting is for it to completely flip everything on its head and turn into some kind of weird fucking sci-fi psychological horror. It's so insane, but so genius. But of course, you can't ignore the fact that this anime's biggest strength is also its biggest weakness. You see, the reason I started this video by begging you to watch this anime is because of the fact that I literally cannot recommend this anime. If I say a single thing about it, if I say anything, this whole anime gets ruined because you absolutely need to go into it blind. And going into it blind in the first place is so fucking hard since it does so well disguising itself as a straight up trashy harem that it becomes a straight up trashy harem. There's no way around that. No matter how good this twist is, that all doesn't matter if nobody's gonna bother to sit through the 6 episodes of trash to get to it. Now, this isn't to say the first 6 episodes are bad. No, they're incredibly written in their own right, but there's absolutely no way to realize that unless you get to the twist. Expectations is the one thing that makes and also breaks this show entirely. It's such a tragic fate for a show to have, but in the end of the day, there's nothing the show could do to deal with this problem while remaining as genius as it is. Expectations within and of themselves are such a mixed bag with whether they decide to be a positive thing in your life or a negative one. One day you can have high expectations for something, and if those expectations are then met, you feel fucking amazing. But at the same time, if you carry those same expectations onto another day and they aren't met, you'll feel nothing but disappointment. Expectations can be both really positive and really negative, so it just makes sense that the show making use of expectations can come across as really good, but also really fucking bad. Love Flops took a risk. It sacrificed its marketability in exchange for making an amazing story. The story of Love Flops is a bittersweet story, considering the fact that this anime has definitely been written off as a failure commercially, but Love Flops will always be a great success in my heart. That was so fucking cheesy, holy shit.